Hello, investors. It is Connor Bates, Associate Portfolio Manager with Revere Asset Management. Today is Friday, January 3rd, 4:34 p.m. Eastern Time, coming to you with tonight's Revere Roundup Daily Market Insight video. Market state still in a short-term pullback, although we did have a nice bounce back today. Look at the trend gauge over here. Market leaders still have that yellow neutral area with a minor green sub arrow. There's still a select few that are actually acting exceptionally well. Others are leaking off, but all in all, not too shabby today. Short term, all the major indexes are trading below the 21 EMA. Medium term, S&P closed just right at the 50-day, so clear line to trade against heading into next week. And then QQQ nicely back above, but still below the 21. And long term, market's not going to get into serious trouble until we have a sustained break below the 200-day moving average. So what happened today? Well, leaders and indexes rallied back quite nicely. And as you can see in the final numbers, 21 over 21 list was up 3.56%, 18 green, 3 red. Big 8, another strong performance, up 2.11. RG8 up 2.31%. And GROTECTION finished the day up 1.17%. So we'll take a look at the inter-asset correlation. Alrighty, start with the S&P 500. So nice bounce today. Obviously, coming into this cluster, you have the 821 and 50-day kind of all right on top of each other. But it is good to see we're getting this stochastic, pretty oversold. And, we held this big, this gap low here, undercut it the previous day, now getting a nice day above. And so, indexes look pretty constructive. If you look at the weekly, the 21 week is a really good gauge. I highly recommend adding it to your charts, but perfect wick off that one, and now trying to get back above the 10 week. So, the weekly just still looks very constructive. And from high to low, this was, no more than 5% correction. So, what we'll be watching next week is a wedge pop back above these moving averages and kind of clear this downtrend line and get back above that 6,000 level. But clear to say that obviously, this 58.70, 58.80 level is a clear line in the sand moving forward. So that low should hold. And then looking at the RSP, again, building this tight range down here, this box formation, and then starting to rally back up. You have the 50-day overhead here. But again, good to see these start to like stable out and not go down further. Obviously, still some work ahead with these moving averages. If we look at the weekly chart here, holding the 40 week for now, would like to see this get back above the 21 week. The Qs, strong bounce here off the 50-day and trying to get back above the 21, and held, never reached that 500 level on the pullback, and obviously reclaim that 503 previous high and reclaiming that 515 level. So good action there, and definitely some relative strength in tech, especially with the money flowing back into some of these semiconductors. And you can see this, the Magnificent Seven chart looks pretty good, held the 50-day. Dow again, kind of building in this tight range, holding the low. So it would be great to see a wedge pop here. Mid caps, again, very similar to RSP, IWM, all these in this tight range. Would love to see this reclaim this 3,200 level. And then sometimes just might need some more time. And I think we mentioned before, if this wedges pop up, builds a higher low, that'd be favorable. Russell 2000, similar look here. Would love to see this reclaim that 2,300 and get back into that gap. ARC, great relative strength here. And, these names continue to do well. And you can see how much better this looks versus, looking at small caps, mid caps, equal weight. This had a nice bounce off the 50-day and reclaiming this downtrend line. And you can see some pretty textbook pullback and moving higher. Alrighty, let's see. FFTY, this is the IBD 50. Again, good action here, especially with some of the leaders acting well today. And this one is coming against this downtrend line right here. VIX, good to see this continuing lower. And obviously we had that super strong pop the other week. But when the VIX doesn't have a reason to stay bid up, you tend to see that come down quick. And now it's coming lower. And yeah, would love to see this come down lower, and it has room obviously down to that 12, 13 range. The dollar continues to be strong and definitely not great for the market, but overall, if this starts to come back down, look at the weekly. This is kind of breaking out of a big range on the weekly chart, but we'll see if it can head lower. Gold, nothing too much here, rejecting into a declining 50-day. Gold stocks as well, relative weakness versus gold. Silver again, coming into that 200-day. Bitcoin, lots of relative strength on this one, and the first pullback into the 10-week moving average after this big base breakout. So this one continues to look great and finally started to see some bounces in some crypto-related equities. Bonds kind of in no man's land here, kind of forming a bear flag. TLT, same thing, just tight range, and this coincides with rates looking like they might want to break out again. It's definitely something to watch heading into next week as well. So that's the inter-asset correlation. We'll take a look at the tail of the tape. So yeah, market state still in a short-term pullback. The Santa Claus rally finished at down 0.53%. And today's keys, S&P versus the 50-day, still not firmly above. So we'll continue to watch that into next week. And then QQQ back above the 50-day, but still not above the 21. Day count, kind of first day back up, still 5 days below the 8, 5 days below the 21. And the action today was pretty much the low was in the first 5 minutes, and it led to a nice upside trend day for the majority of the day. Sectors wise, Bitcoin, semiconductors, uranium, aerospace, and defense, ARC all strong on the day. And then weakness, natural gas, gold, silver. In-house today, we bought Marvell and Twilio. We added to existing positions in Palantir and GEV, and then we sold AR. Bottom line, leaders and indexes rally back. Watch these resistance levels into next week. So let's get into the some charts of interest. So GEV, we added to this one today. This one's looking to break out of a 6-7 week base. Nice pop today. Relative strength line, new highs before price inside of base. That is something you don't tend to see too often, and it's a very bullish thing to see. So that's a really good sign for this one. And this weekly looks amazing. And I mean, all these data centers are going to need power, and GEV is the name. Look at these estimates and numbers; they're pretty big. So this one clearly looks like a leader, and obviously it led in this period, and now it's been basing in this kind of like a Darvas box. So get a strong breakout here. This could see some nice follow through. Twilio, this has been a software leader that started off this earnings gap and now finally broke this down, built higher lows off the 21, broke this down trend line. Really good action here in this weekly. Obviously, this is like the first consolidation after this big stage 1 breakout and follow through. Palantir was another ad, just pull back to the 21. Nice wedge pop back up. This one continues to be one of the what Dan Ives calls is the Messi of AI, and this one of the best stocks in the market to own. And then we sold AR, just not a ton of progress here, coming back into the base, and we also own EQT in-house, and that will catch that sector as well. Let's take a look at the 21 over 21 list. Rock Lab super strong, breaking out of this consolidation again, and there's a ton of strength in these space, aerospace, and defense stocks. This one's the more liquid leader that we're tracking, and you can see this has just been a huge move out of this weekly base. IONQ, another strong one. This is obviously, these names have high range, so position size accordingly, but this one bounced off the 21. This one this is a pretty substantial move, and this one continues to be the liquid leader for that quantum computing. Tesla, really nice bounce back today. It had 5 days down right into the 10-week moving average, and it held, so it's putting in a nice week. So I'd love it to reclaim that 414.50 level, which was that previous all-time high. And then you have this 500 level above, but the story still is great here on Tesla. Reddit, another one. And some of the leaders are just getting supported on every pulled back, upside reversal on this day here, and now coming back really strong. Palantir, SoFi, holding the 50-day. A-Lab, another one, bounced off 21. This one just continues to trend higher. CLS bounced off the 21. Marvell, another one, we added this one today and had that strong earnings gap here, kind of pulled back, shot back up, and now it's built nice higher lows here, and now it's trying to get in right at that high volume close. But these data centers and these semiconductor names are coming back quite nicely, and this one's got a nice flag here under the highs. Covered Twilio APP. This is another one worth to watch. This was obviously a huge high flyer in this move here, pulled back, and now it's building a tight range. So maybe if this can get a strong breakout, through these highs, this one could come back into action. CRDO, another one in that, semiconductor data center. This one's holding up really well, reclaim that high volume close. And just after that monster gap, it hasn't given anything back. It's tried to undercut that gap low a couple of times, but the following day it's been bought back up. So this one, just really good action. Decker's leaders in the retail theme, kind of building a flag here. Google, another one. This got propelled off that announcement with the quantum computing Willow, and this one shot up, kind of came back down in the market, but this is a similar chart pattern we're seeing across the market, starting to build higher lows here while the moving averages are catching up. So see if this one can kind of spring out of this flag heading into next week. RBRK, pretty good action as well, is not violating this gap here. And this one looks very similar to, A-Lab, Reddit. It's a very similar price structure. Obviously, went through a big period of neglect inside the IPO base, and then it got the catalyst was that earnings to really get it going. So we'll see if this one can start to get into gear here again. EXPE, really nice consolidation here. Avgo, another one. Showed a little bit of relative weakness versus NVIDIA and some of the other semiconductors today, but no, this one's still acting well, kind of building this post-earnings flag. Rose, great action here coming out of this base. Obviously, you got this big stage one base, stage two continuation. Teva, this is the biotech that gapped up on news, starting to pull back. EQT, one we own for natural gas in that oil area. Big cup and handle base, see if it can break out. And then AR, we sold this one today. That's a 21. I wanted to go over some sectors keep an eye on semiconductors. This daily is extremely tight. You're seeing this relative strength line get back above the 21 and this downtrend line. So maybe that's hinting that semiconductors, after many weeks of underperformance, they want to lead again. If you look at this weekly here, this is kind of a cup and handle base, and it's just extremely tight. Got a downtrend line here. And if you look at this monthly, this is like 7 tight monthly closes. You don't tend to see that too often. So expectation would be whichever way this this wants to break out, it could lead to a big move. And because you got this big trend line here, then you also got this upper supporting trend line here. So getting super tight inside of this wedge, and could see a breakout in either direction next week. And if you look at like NVIDIA, really nice action here, reclaiming that big 140 level and coming back really nicely. And I talked about the 21 week earlier in the video, and you can see this found support at the 21 week on the pullback, and this looks really good. This is got a multi-week base reclaiming 140, and then you also got supportive action in the group as well. Another one worth noting is this TSM. This one's trying to come out of another nice looking base as well. So semiconductors definitely look good. We'll take a look at IGV. Again, trying to reclaim the 50-day, and coincides with APP, Twilio, some of these other software names that are starting to rally back, and it coincides with IGV pulling back as well. So definitely we mentioned on the call today is just it's not hard to find a lot of good looking stocks. So ideal world is these indexes start to regain these averages, and leading stocks continue to act well, and that's what we're seeing. Most of our stops didn't hit when the market pulled back, so we remained positioned in many of those. And then the other thing is sentiment has cooled off quite a lot. The NAM exposure index dropped all the way down to 64. So that definitely means people unloaded a lot of stuff, underinvested. You look at CNN fear and greed, that's at 26. And then many of the breadth indicators that we follow, like the NASI RSI, very oversold. And then many of these breadth indicators, like the percent of stocks above the 5, 20, 50, 200-day moving average, have quite a lot of room up. So the landscape of the market looks pretty good, but as always, we're just going to take it day by day and let the market tell us. So that is everything that I got. I always like to hear from you. My email is connor@revereasset.com, and you can reach out to Dan or Don at revereasset.com. Phone is 855-REAL-WEALTH. That is 855-732-5932. If you're ever interested in becoming a client, you can always reach out. And with that, I'll wrap it for Friday, January 3rd. This is Connor Bates with Revere Asset Management, telling it like it is. Thanks for listening. Have a great evening.